Yeah. MD. JPB. It's only right, baby.
Yeah. Why you mad? I got a bad bro. Name hot in these streets, no Tabasco. But I'm so stuck, that's a fact, yo. And if you think I'm frontin', you can run it back, yo. Boy, run it back. You know that I run it. Everything you wanna do, I already done it. And I got your little boo telling me she love me. I got this. Damn, it's gonna be a long night.
Hello guys, what is up? It is me, Prince of What Ifs, and I'm back here with another video. Today we're doing What If Naofumi had the Sharingan Part 3. And before we get into that, wow, what the hell? 10k? And we're already at like basically 3k. I don't know what the hell is going on. Apparently people really like the videos that much, but damn, I mean, just damn, that's all I can say. I don't know why. Every time I check my phone just to look at the video, it has more and more views every time, and I'm getting 100 subscribers each day. That's crazy. Thank y'all so much. And there's a reason why I'm putting more work in, and why there will be a 3K special, as you know, I'm gonna be doing What If Deku Could Edit Quirks, you know, the second part for the 3K special. Because you guys subscribed so fast that as soon as I made it, 1 week after, I realized we were actually close to getting to 3K already. So I was kind of shook. I'm still not, like, I haven't started writing a script for that yet. So yeah. Anyway, thank y'all so much for getting me this far. It's crazy. After this What If, I'll be doing What If Asta was the reincarnation of Zoro. If I can like finish What If Deku Could Edit Quirks Part 2 really fast, maybe I'll post them on the same day, or I'll post, you know, the Amache one first because y'all want that one more than the Black Clover one right now. But you know what I'm saying. Thank you so much. Let's get into the video, and yeah, I'm honestly shook. Last time we left off, Naofumi confronted the king of Melchromark, who accused him of forcing himself on his daughter, and he embarrassed him. However, after this, rumors still spread of the shield hero being a devil and a rapist, and everyone except a few were against him. This led him to buying a slave named Raftalia, a raccoon girl, and at first, things were a bit awkward, but they got closer as friends, not just master and slave, and now they were back at the blacksmith's Ironheart shop to get an upgrade on their armor. And after some time of fighting together and learning more about each other, Naofumi and Raftalia had gone through some changes. We go to the weapon shop. Ironheart says, "Kid, I can't believe your hair grew that long. You sure you don't want to cut it?" Naofumi then says, "Nah, it feels comfortable, but what I do need is new armor." Ironheart agrees to make the armor as Raftalia and Naofumi go to get lunch. And while on the way, Raftalia speaks. "That blacksmith is really nice." Naofumi then says, "Yeah, aside from you, he might be one of the only people who still believe in me." Raftalia then angrily says, "I can't believe those people would go this far just to make sure that everyone..." She then stops herself and realizes that it would not be good to talk about things like this right now and apologizes. Naofumi then says it's fine because it doesn't bother him that much, and they go eat. Then after this, Naofumi finally receives his bandit armor, and it fits him perfectly, but he asks to remove a few pads off to give him more mobility since he's already just like a good melee fighter, sorry about that. And you know, he's not just a tank, he's good at fighting. And Ironheart removes a bit of the pads, and Naofumi asks, "So how much do I owe you? I know it's worth a lot, just considering how the materials feel." Ironheart then says, "Don't worry, I'll lower the price by a bit. Besides, we're friends." Naofumi then thanks him as Ironheart wishes him good luck, and then before he forgot, Ironheart asks, "By the way, what time is the wave coming up for you? I know those bastards definitely didn't tell you much." Naofumi then smirks as he says, "Don't worry, I got it covered." We skip to them arriving at the temple, and when they're about to enter, they hear a loud voice. "Well, if it isn't the demon of the shield." Naofumi then turns around to see Moriyasu and his party. Raftalia then says, "So these are the guys?" Naofumi then says, "Yeah, just ignore them." They start walking away when Mine yells at them, saying that they're not being respectful for ignoring Moriyasu, or Sir Moriyasu, and hearing this pisses off Raphtalia as she turns around and glares at the party. Would you mind leaving us alone? We have things to do. Seeing that a demi-human would dare talk back to them, the girls in the Moriyasu's party got offended. But Moriyasu approaches Raphtalia and grabs her hand, asking if she would join his party. Moriyasu then says, besides, you don't want to be in his party. You know what he did, right? Naofumi then says, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Moriyasu is confused by this until Raphtalia kicks him so fast he couldn't react and he slams into his other party members. Mine then gets up mad and says, how dare a mere demi-human touch a hero? She prepares a spell when Naofumi would create a huge fireball and stare at her with his Sharingan. Remember what I told you in the castle? I won't even hesitate. She remembers his promise to kill her and stops, and Naofumi then retracts his fireball and they leave Moriyasu's party in fear. Then they go to look at the hourglass, Naofumi and Raphtalia. They go look at the hourglass and realize they only have 20 hours before the waves start, and they head back to the forest. Naofumi then says, Raphtalia, stay here. I feel like blowing off some steam. She understands and waits as Naofumi decimates a bunch of balloons with ease, and soon he finally gets it all out of his system, but now he's all bloody and has to go wash up in the inn. He re-enters the town with people being scared, and Naofumi honestly just finds it hilarious. Raphtalia then says, it's not funny, these people honestly hate you. Doesn't that make you feel anything? Naofumi then says, Raphtalia, if I wasn't mad, I wouldn't currently be bloodied with monster guts. Raphtalia then says, oh yeah. Naofumi then says, and honestly, what they think doesn't matter. Lions shouldn't concern themselves with the opinions of sheep. Besides, soon we're gonna leave this place. We can take down all the monsters in the area anyway. Raphtalia then says, you sure they don't get to you? Naofumi shakes his head as he ruffles her hair, and then she smiles and they go back to the inn and he washes up and they rest for a while. Soon it's the next day, pretty early in the morning, and they get ready to prepare for, the calamity, the waves. Raphtalia then says, Sir Naofumi? Naofumi then says, yeah, what's up? Nervous? Raphtalia says, no, I'm not, and that's what's amazing. After all these days of fighting and growing together, I feel like when I'm around you, I'll never get hurt. You found me and took care of me. I'm grateful for that. Naofumi then says, don't know what to tell you. I'm not really good at talking like this, but I'm glad I met you. Now it's just you and me against the world. But we're gonna get through these waves together. Raphtalia starts to cry a bit and says, I thought you said you weren't good at this. Naofumi chuckles a bit while scratching his head, and this is when he realizes that the screen in front of him, like the message screen, is counting down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. In an instant, the two appear in the middle of a forest, and Raphtalia, surprised, says, we were teleported? Naofumi says, stay on guard. Wait, what's that sound? They start to see a weird energy surround the area, and Naofumi looks up to see that the sky is cracking, and out of the cracks come undead and monsters alike. Then seeing this, Naofumi gets excited but realizes that they have to scout the area first to know where they are. Raphtalia then notices that this is where the mine was, so this is definitely Loot Village. And through all the chaos happening, Naofumi spots the other heroes heading somewhere else, and instead of stopping them, he ignores them and plans to take care of the village by himself since there was no time to hesitate. So they rush into the center of Loot Village just in time for Naofumi to save a villager from being killed by using his airstrike shield. Then Naofumi lands and uses his rock wall, and a huge wall comes out of the ground as he kicks it over, making it land on the horde of undead heading their way. Naofumi then says, Raphtalia, take my clones and evacuate the village. He then makes 5 shadow clones, and Raphtalia does as he says, and the people of the village are surprised that they're being saved by multiple shield heroes as well as a demi-human. They're amazed because they didn't know that the shield hero could do something like this. Soon Raphtalia is done with evacuating and the clones poof, and she says, I better go help him. She then turns around to go help but realizes that he doesn't need it as Naofumi looks like a force of nature. He's blocking and using wind bursts to just punch a giant undead soldiers and burning them to nothing with his fireballs. Then to take care of the bees, he creates shadow clones and they use airstrike shield to jump into the air and destroy the bees with fire kicks, and it just looked awesome. Then Naofumi gets surrounded by giant undead soldiers with axes, and he covers himself using prison shield, and they start to bash it and just try to get him out. And seeing this, Raftalia jumps in and uses First Light to make the undead back off. And I don't know if this is the same as in the manga as it is in the anime, but this is just like in a light attack, which just like flashes. It's like Tien's attack, and she has it now because she's a much higher level than she was before, so she learned this magic already. Anyway, after using this magic, she slashes off 2 heads of the undead soldiers, and they fall to the ground, blah blah blah. Now Fumi then stops using Prison Shield and uses one of his new skills called Windblade to cut the 2 undead soldiers right down the middle. And Raftalia says, "Now Fumi, I know you're strong, but please be more careful." Now Fumi then says, "It wasn't that I wasn't being careful, I just really trust you." Hearing this makes Raftalia blush as she gets flustered, and then all of a sudden, they both pick up something. Fire starts to rain down on the area as Naofumi, using his earth nature, protects them with an earth barrier. Naofumi then also wonders if this is happening because of the waves, and soon when he feels no more fires like hitting them, he deactivates the earth barrier, and in front of him stand a bunch of knights with the leader in front staring them down. The leader knight then speaks. "Huh, you're pretty tough, aren't you?" Hearing this pisses off Raftalia as she forcibly activates King's Rule and gets filled with a lot of bloodlust. The knight leader thought it was going to be easy to parry her, but this is when her speed just picks up and she disappears and reappears in front of him with her sword to his neck. The knights are shocked, and so is their leader. Raftalia then speaks. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" She sinks her sword deeper into his neck as the knight starts to panic. The leader then says, "Well, why does it matter? We got rid of the monsters, didn't we?" Raftalia then gets even more mad and goes to cut off his head when Naofumi stops her. "Leave him. He's right. Nobody got hurt in the end, right? Besides, in a few minutes none of that will matter because they'll be dead anyway." All the soldiers get scared and paralyzed with fear due to the amount of bloodlust that Naofumi was leaking from her Sharingan, and thus they couldn't move when a bunch of undead appeared behind them and started to massacre them. Naofumi just watched as the soldiers were destroyed and cut to bits while asking for help, but he just turned his back and waited for them to die, and then he took care of the rest without any help from Raftalia. The waves then ended after some time because the 3 other heroes had beaten the boss, and in the end, Naofumi burned the night bodies, with his fireball to get rid of their corpses and evidence, and then he proceeded to help out the villagers, who then also thanked him and Raftalia. Now we're going to go to the feast. It is currently night, and after the battle, the king congratulates the heroes on their work and, stopping the waves, all while ignoring what Naofumi had done. Naofumi was in the corner of the room checking his skills, and he realized there was something wrong with his Sharingan. At this point, he had reached 3 Tomoe, but the system says that for him to evolve any further, special conditions have to be met. However, the conditions aren't mentioned. And Naofumi says, "I'm so confused. The system is really confusing. And the Sharingan just gets more and more complex. Maybe there's a reason why I feel no remorse after killing those people. Actually, I feel amazing." As he's going through his thoughts, Raftalia approaches him with some food and they start talking a bit. And while they're doing this, Moriyasu is told that Naofumi was doing something unworthy of a hero. He looked around furiously for Naofumi, and when he spotted him, he ran at him in anger and grabbed Raftalia by the shoulder. Moriyasu then says, "Hey Naofumi, I heard that this girl right here is your slave. What's the meaning of this?" People who hear this start to murmur and gasp as far off in the room, the king starts to smirk. Naofumi then says, "What the hell is that supposed to mean? The whole kingdom is created based on discrimination and slavery. Why does it matter if I have a slave or not?" Moriyasu then says, "Just because it's allowed doesn't mean you can do things like this. We're from another world. We can't throw away our ideals just because this world isn't like ours." Naofumi then says, "You know that whether or not we were in my world, or this one, or even in your world, I would still have just as much strength and nobody would dare stop me from killing anyone." Hearing this shocks the crowd, but Naofumi doesn't really care, and Moriyasu would then out of nowhere challenge Naofumi as he grabs a glove and throws it down. Moriyasu then says, "I challenge you to a duel. If I win, you release the girl." Naofumi then says, "And what do I get?" Moriyasu says, "Well, nothing." Naofumi starts laughing uncontrollably and says, "Stop playing with me. If I win, I get 30 gold coins." Moriyasu then says, "What? Hell no." Naofumi then says, "Then we're not fighting. Goodbye." He grabs Raphtalia and they start to leave when the king speaks up and orders him to accept a duel. Hearing this, Naofumi activates his Sharingan and releases Bloodlust at him, making him shut up. Naofumi then says, "Fine, want a duel? I'll give you a duel, but don't blame me for what happens next." The crowd starts to laugh, thinking that the rumors of the shield hero being able to use different elements were a lie, but they don't realize that the one that is in control currently was the shield hero. And as soon as Naofumi agrees, a bunch of knights start to approach Raphtalia specifically. Naofumi then says, "Kill them all." Hearing this, Raphtalia disappears as all the heads of the knights go flying, with Raphtalia reappearing by Naofumi. Naofumi then says, "I told you, you wouldn't like what happened. I'll hold up my end of the bargain, but you don't lay a finger on her." Now we go to the duel, and Moriyasu is shaking in his boots as Ren and Itsuki are speechless at what Naofumi orders someone to do so lightly. They start wondering if it was the right thing to root for him. But the nobles who were watching the fight were hoping that the spear hero would take down this villain posing as a hero. Moriyasu gets ready and points his spear at Naofumi, saying, "I will save that girl from you and humiliate you, Naofumi. Someone like you doesn't deserve her." He rushes at him with a jab, and Naofumi easily blocks it and shoves him off using his shield. Moriyasu then rushes back at him, going crazy with a flurry of attacks, but Naofumi just easily is just blocking and dodging everything. Moriyasu then says, "Tell me how you're doing this. The shield should never be this strong. You're cheating, aren't you?" Naofumi then says, "Unlike you, I've actually fought people before. Fighting monsters is easier because they have a certain pattern or how they attack. But when you're fighting someone like me, you should always expect the unexpected." Everyone then watches as Naofumi bursts with power and wind starts to surround him, and he puts his hand out and yells, "Ha!" A huge amount of wind hits Moriyasu, sending him flying into a pillar as he coughs up blood. As he does this, Naofumi starts to feel pain in his eyes. He slightly stumbles. What the hell's going on? It hurts so much. He's in pain and the system pops up in front of him saying, "Undergoing evolution." As he's in pain, he couldn't see the attack coming from the crowd as he was hit by a blast of wind and he gets sent back. He's still in pain and writhing on the ground. Raphtalia, seeing this, starts to feel frustrated that she can't do anything. But Moriyasu takes this chance to get up and kick him while he's down. Literally. Moriyasu then says, "This is what you deserve for your evil deeds. You should have released the girl when I asked you to." Naofumi looks up and around to see what he can only describe as demons. These nobles were laughing at his pain and downfall. Why? He never hurt any of them. They barely even knew him. Why? 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 He kept repeating these words as he was being beaten down by a false hero, and he was in too much pain to do anything. Naofumi then yells, "Raphtalia, where are you? Help me!" He looks and sees that she was being held back by the knights while she was just trying to enter the ring to stop the fight because it was unfair. He watched as she started to cry and shout out his name. What does this world have against me? As he says this, everything goes black and he sees a battle full of blood and just misery. A man was causing it all. He had long hair just like he did, and he had the same eyes as him. As he starts to wonder what is going on, he then sees another scene with a kid kneeling down to see the blood, surrounded by dead people. Then the kid turns around and also stared at him with the Sharingan, and he started to age in front of him to become a menacing figure, surrounded by black flames. They have the same eyes as I do. What is this? I don't have time for this. I need to make those people pay. They have to pay. He then looks around him and sees that he's being dragged down by a bunch of hands. Then he hears multiple voices. Are you really gonna let them do this to you? You don't deserve those eyes. Rise up and destroy them. You're disgraceful to the Uchiha bloodline. Stop being so weak. If you want something, just take it. They dare to try to take everything from you. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Naofumi then responds, I'm gonna kill them all. His eyes flash red as he rises in this dark abyss and yells, and he returns to the real world. He stops an oncoming kick from Moriyasu. Moriyasu then says, what are you doing? Let me go. right now. Naofumi then swings him away and just like literally just swings him away, and he stands up stumbling as he sees Raftalia on her knees crying. He walks towards her very slowly and falls on his knees in front of her. Raftalia then crying says, Are you okay? He wouldn't stop kicking you. He then hugs her tightly, and she hugs him back very tightly as well. And Naofumi says, I'm sorry to make you worry so much, but I'm kind of better now. Then he stands, and Raftalia notices, Naofumi, your eyes, they changed. Just as she says this, Naofumi gets stabbed from behind by Moriyasu, and Raftalia gasps in fear. Moriyasu then says, I will beat you, no matter what. Naofumi then says, No, you won't. He then poofs into a log and reappears in the center of the ring and starts to wipe his eyes. This makes him realize that he's actually bleeding from his eyes, and he says, Attaining power always comes at a cost, doesn't it? A message then pops up. You've gained the Mangekyo. For 2 minutes, you will be allowed to use this skill. Naofumi then says, 2 minutes is more than enough. Then he looks at Moriyasu, who is confused at how he disappeared like that, and he says, Let's finish this, you bastard. Moriyasu rushes at him using Chaos Spear and declares that he will be the winner. The crowd is cheering for him and ready for Naofumi to be taken down, but in a moment, their expectations are crushed, as out of Naofumi comes a strange energy, which then takes form what people in this country can only describe as an elemental. Naofumi then says, Susanoo. The giant Susanoo then meets Moriyasu with a punch so strong that it sends him flying like a ragdoll as his bones get twisted and you hear the cracks echo throughout the place. The crowd was stunned and frozen in fear. That elemental to them ignored the power of the legendary weapons wielded by one of the 4 heroes. The king as well as mine wanted to run, but they couldn't. Naofumi then deactivated Susanoo, making his chakra drop by a lot, but he could still walk at the very least. Naofumi then says, Raftalia, we're leaving. Now. She then runs over to help him walk out as everyone makes a path for them as they are too scared to try anything anymore cause, seriously, who'll be dumb enough to try anything after that? And once they leave, Mine starts to shake as Itsuki approaches her. Why did you intervene? Mine says, I don't know what you're talking about, sir. Itsuki. Itsuki then says, Oh really? Why are you shaking? You set this whole thing up to try to bring him down, didn't you? The king then speaks, This is ridiculous. Nobody saw her intervene. That devil must have just tripped, that's it. Ren then cuts in, Trip? I've never seen anyone get flown away after simply tripping. This whole thing was clearly orchestrated. We were watching from the balcony. It's clear by now that Naofumi is the strongest in the kingdom, so of course you have to rely on dirty tricks. And thanks to you, Moriyasu is beaten up and mangled. All the nobles start mumbling and slightly believing less and less in the words of the royal family as the king says, Mine, please defend yourself, my daughter, say something. Mine is ignoring everyone as she starts mumbling under her breath that Naofumi is gonna kill her. After seeing this, Ren and Itsuki start to leave as they wonder if they can really trust anyone anymore. Now we go back to Naofumi as he's being helped by Raftalia and now they're walking in the streets. Raftalia then says, Please hang on, soon we'll be out of the city and I'll give you a potion. Naofumi then says, Just so we're clear on this, we both hate this country, right? Raftalia then says, Of course, this time they've gone too far. Naofumi then says, Alright then, it's settled. Tomorrow we're gonna head to Silkvet. Hearing this cheers up Raftalia as we see them leave the city of Melchromac, and that's where I'm gonna leave it off. I really hope you guys liked that what if. I'm gonna go back to sleep after this, and also before I end this, like usual, I have some few things to say. Thank y'all so much for the recent rise in subs and how many views you guys gave the 2K special. I will never be grateful enough. You guys are helping me a lot. I don't know what it is about my what ifs that you like so much, but I guess I must be doing something right. So yeah. Also, the whole thing about the bloodlust, that skill, it's something that paralyzes someone if their level is lower than yours. And literally everyone in that kingdom by now is a lower level than he is, because he has double like growth, double XP experience, you know, all that. And also if Rattele gains XP and gets more strong, so does he, you know. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I'm just gonna go back to sleep because I can't miss class tomorrow. I keep missing class because I stay up editing videos. I'm just gonna go to sleep and edit today and release it today, which I did. So you're welcome, and I will see you guys in few. Honestly, that's what I want to talk about as well. I'm not sure how my schedule is gonna change from now on because as things are going, I feel like I'm only gonna be able to post about like 2 times a week, or 3, or just 1, because like I said, quality over quantity. And honestly, I don't want to release something that I like half-assed. There would be no like joy in it. When I release videos, I feel nervous enough knowing that I might have fucked up anything. But what if I actually didn't put in any of my like special touch in it? Then I would just feel like it was an embarrassment of a video, and I don't want to do that. I want to do what I like to do, which is add a little bit of story and a bit of character development, as well as make the characters OP as fuck. Anyway, yeah, I just want to let you guys know. I don't know what will happen next. My schedule might be a little messed up. Also, I'm gonna show you a series that I will be revamping right now, and you might be surprised. It is this. Don't hate me for this, please, because if you go back and look, you can see how I said that I gave Naruto way too many abilities, even I couldn't keep up. So I'm gonna revamp it and then restart and remake the storyline, and you know, things will start off from there. I'm not sure if I'm still gonna make him meet Shion, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this with anybody else who might like what is. If you made it this far in the video, thank you, and thank you for the views. And yeah.